Right, good morning everyone that's watching. I'm going to carry on with my orange batik quilt. Now I've quilted it, so I'm going to trim it up ready for binding. So I thought I'd just make a wee video of it. So hold on while I tilt this. I think that's perfect. Perfecto. So I'm going to try and go along the seams. I've got little 2-inch blocks here that I can line up with to make it square. And get my rotary cutter to go. This is not a very good rotary cutter with a blade to go back in. But, wee table, just a wee table. I have to work in my bedroom. I haven't got a spare room or anything. As you can see by my bed, had to make my bed. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning here. All dressed up, nowhere to go. But who wants to go anywhere when you're quilting? That's what I say. I actually had sewn round the edge to make it more stable when I was quilting. I'm pretty new to, done a few quilts, but not a lot of machine quilting. I got a new machine last year, do you know me? And I'm over the moon at it, so I'm using it. Confidence, self-esteem, doing good. Many years of depression, many years, and this past couple of years I'm starting to get better and I'm feeling great now. So long may it live. My son's well pleased with me as well. Good to see you well, Mum. You know you worry people, but you can't help it when you're in that mental state. I don't even think about yourself, I don't know about others. So I'm back at the quilting group, which has inspired me. And then I happened to make, we're sending photos, etc. to my son, Ian. You'll hear him a lot about him. And I've been dabbling, thinking about YouTube and trying to pluck up the courage and what do I do. And I thought it's a good way of recording for the family. Grandchildren that don't see me often, etc, etc. So, and then they can see me at work instead of just the end result. That's not very good, is it? Hold on. Hold on. Let's put you back a bit. I don't want to tilt it anymore. I'm even talking about getting another camera instead of just using my iPhone. No, iPhone's fantastic. I've seen websites that they've used just the iPhone for quite a while until they sort of got more followers, etc. Make it a little bit more professional. But this is only the very beginning for me, very beginning. I've got to learn to edit yet. Oh, always a learning curve. I've dabbled with technology for 30 years, but for 15 of the last, I don't know, let's say 12 to 15, I haven't done much at all, so I'm left behind, again because of mental health. I've had mobiles, but I've only had Apple phone, iPhone, and using it the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, something like that. When I was always first, I started with cameras at 1 pixels and 1 megabyte pixel digital cameras and stuff like that. Windows 3.1. But as I say, I was left behind, and now I couldn't even work the torch on the phone, didn't know anything about it, you know, a year or so ago. It's amazing, it's wonderful what they can do, wonderful. I got an Xbox too, so I game a bit. Game on the PC. Again, I was never one to game on a PC. I've always done websites. I made the village website when I used to live in Scotland, and doing that kind of thing. Family tree. Well, it wasn't work, but it's more that kind of thing. I never gamed. And my son Ian always tried to encourage me because he loves his video games. And I said, yeah, never done it. But it's, again, this past couple of years, I've got Steam and I've got games. Not very good. Well, it took me 6 months to get hold of the controller. I didn't know how to use a controller. I remember Kieran, my grandson, who's 22 now, when he was 9 months old using a controller, you know. I was just going to have thumbs like a guitarist. And he's still into the, you know, expert at computers and gaming and all that. He know how to build them. Saying that, I had to put a new graphics card my son gave me, and I managed to put that in the PC. So, yeah, I'm getting with it again. Wonderful, because I do love my technology. I remember when I first learned, and so I went back to school when I was about 35, something like that. Get the equivalent of O levels, which I never did at school. And they said to me, do you want to use a computer like most adults? No. And that's when the Windows 3.1 was just coming out into the schools. So that started me hooked ever since. Taught the boys now, I say, Ian's he's taught me for years, like computer programming. I'm not great at it. I haven't got a mathematical mind, which you do need. But I can do bits and bobs. When you think about it, when you're doing quilting, it's maths, isn't it? Maths, without you knowing. When you're doing your or triangles, square triangles, 2 7/8 instead of 2 1/2 will give you 2 lots of triangles and one little square. If you know what I mean, I will explain that. I might do that in a little video like now I've mentioned it. I didn't know that. It's just, again, watching YouTube, reading books. If I read a book, I look at a book and think I know it mostly. Skim through it. I'm a person that likes to learn by being shown, not by reading. That's why I love YouTube. You can go and look at one person and think, right, okay, drop me ruler. And then go and look at someone else and they might slightly do it different, or watch it 2 or 3 times and it sinks in. I need a lot of that. Right, so that's it trimmed. All lovely trimmed. So now I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to start putting the binding on. Got some orange binding. No fancy, no border, no plain border or fancy border around it. So I'm just going to make it a black quilt. So I shall see you in a wee while when I'm putting on the binding. I have to think what I'm doing. Got my dark glasses on here. Well, black glasses. Okay, see you in a minute. Bye. Okay, I'm back again. I've got me bias tape. I buy it in a roll. I have made it in the past, but I find it so much easier to do this, unless I really want to do a fussy one and a scrappy one. Just put some old scraps together and do it that way, but for the most part I use this nowadays. And I've got the quilt laying here. I'm gonna tilt you forward, hopefully see a little bit. I can't zoom, I don't know how to zoom in a bit. I want to get, I'm already thinking about a better camera. Oh dear, things are moving forward. Right, so put it on the reverse. I leave a long tail because I'm going to use that to join up when I go right round the quilt and meet the other end. So I'll show you how I do it when I get there. So obviously I'm not going to tape the whole sewing of the binding on. That'll be a bit boring for you, a bit boring for me. I don't know about you. So I'll start it off. I don't start in the middle because people tend to look at the middle of a quilt. So start near, you know, some way down, just not bang in the middle. And then the join parts are not showing, like that part there. Can you see? Hold on, there's a bit of cotton there. There's a bit of cotton. There's a kind of join there. Can't see it. A diagonal. It's such a good join. Can't see it. But it's all done for you, see. So all you've got to do is do the end thing. So anyway, a long tail. It's so you can, when you get to the other end, you've got it joined there. And you've got this room to move and fold your joins together. But it'd be more self-explanatory when I get to that point. So all I do is I use a walking foot. I up my stitches a little bit, 4 and 2.6 instead of 3.5 and 2.4 because it's on the quilt. I have done it on ordinary stitch and it's fine. But how far away am I? Yeah, I'm about a foot away from the top of the quilt. Down. And just line it up. If you trimmed it nice and straight, there's no bother. Let's find my foot pedal to put moves in the night, so it does on its own. Sure, there's little ghosts around here, little fairies. I always reverse a little couple of stitches just to keep it that secure for me when I muck around it at the other end. But I'll show you what happens when I get to the corner. I haven't got a flat bed, as you see. I've only got the little extended table. I would love to get a whole flat table. It would be so much easier because it gets caught on this corner here. You see, you can hear it already, you know, so it's terrible when you're trying to quilt. But that's the way of life. I don't have it all for fast. Obviously I can go a lot faster, but the walking foot, you know, it's not just like ordinary sewing, so I do like to take it a bit easier. I'm not going to do anything else, you know. I'm sitting here quilting, so I'm happy. Happy you, Larry. As I say, they're my way. As you can hear, I'm an Essex girl. Well, you wouldn't know if you were from America or etc. Over the water somewhere. But the Brits will know. But I did live in Scotland for 30 years. But I didn't pick up the accent, just the words. Sometimes I have a little lilt. My brothers used to say to me if I went back to Essex to visit, oh, you sound Scottish, but the next day I talk like Essex again. But I live back in the south, in Sussex now, so south of England. After my husband passed away, so there's nothing to keep me up there. My boys were down here, so. I tend to blether, I tend to talk a lot. I'm known for that. We can't keep your big mouth shut. As I sometimes say. When you talk to yourself though. There's some of the women like to say, the quilt group say, you know, you talk to yourself, yeah, I said, but at least you know, if you argue, you always win. You're always right. You know? Nobody to call your names, tell you you're an idiot or anything. So, I had a cat for many years. He died a couple of years ago. He helped me through grief and stuff, you know, and it was great to blether to him. Again, he didn't, well, he did sometimes talk back to me, I must admit, but amazing. I used to be a dog person, but he was my first and only cat. Lovely Burman he was, a Burman. Got him from my mum. My mum's eyesight was going and she was getting a guide dog and she already had a schnauzer. Me and my husband went and visited one time, just a few weeks before he died actually. And she gave me a cat. Right, so I got to the corner, I get a 1/4 of an inch off the end, and I was backstitched. Other people do it different ways. There's all sorts of ways of doing this, but this is the way I like it, my way. Just take it back a few stitches, and I actually cut it off. So I get to the corner. I fold it back on itself so it's diagonal. Hold on. See, and then pull it straight down. Keep your finger on there. Some people pin it, but I just work it in. It can be a bit fiddly, keeping it straight, and then of course keeping these layers flat as well, because this isn't the most, a lot of money for this extending table, but it's not very good. You know, expensive machine. Well, not the most expensive to me, but it's yeah, you learn by your mistakes. But anyway, it's fine, I'm happy. So I put it on there again, about 1/4 of an inch, and I reverse a few stitches, more or less at the top. Doesn't like that. Hold on, terrible machine to tell you off. I'm going to lift that foot again because it's crunching up a bit. Let's get the quilt in a bit of order here. See what I mean? It's quite awkward. See, Ian, it's quite awkward. It lets Ian know, you know, what I'm doing, and when I've told him I'd love a flatbed table, you know, great big table, like the table it's on with my machine sitting in it. Obviously, if you don't quilt, you don't know. You think, well, what's the problem like? Oh. Well, now we know the problem. Ian's my soundboard. He is. I can talk to him about anything like. And my husband isn't here because he used to have to listen to me all the time. He was a quiet man, but I made up for it. Sometimes I wonder how he put up with me. That's my teddy bear going. My little teddy bear. You see him from here? I don't know what you're seeing here. Okay, so that's a corner done, and I'm going to shut you off for a wee while and turn it back on when I get to the joining part. Okay, see you in a tick. Okay, I've got to start again. Okay, I'm getting to the last corner now, so we'll go through the corner once again and then we'll go to the joining of the two ends of the binding. Okay, excuse me. Let me tilt you again. So, last bit. I turned the machine up a bit, so we're going a little bit faster. Didn't want to be here forever. What time is it? 10 to 10 or something. So I finished another binding last night. So I got that quilt is for charity. I hope you can hear me about this. I'll have to look when I see the replay. So again, come to the 1/4 of an inch or thereabouts. Go nice and slow. Well, it doesn't matter if it's more, but reverse. Cut that off. Swing it around a bit. I've got a big table beside me as well to take the weight of the quilt. I'll put it on the diagonal. Give it a little crease. Get this one out of the way. And each corner and slide it under. There we go. A few stitches back. Go a little way here because I want plenty of room between here and this one. You'll see why in a minute. So again, I'm going to reverse it. Just stop it unravelling. That's why I'm doing that. So what we do is going to meet in the middle here, okay, somewhere around there. So I'm going to put the one that we started with at a diagonal straight across at the bottom there, make a crease, and I'm going to bring this one down here. I'm going to cut a bit off because that's, you know, it's still attached to the roll. I'm going to cut a little, you know, a comfortable amount. I've got a whole roll of it. It's enough for another quilt on it. I can't remember how many meters it is, but it's a lot. And I will actually sort of, well, if I do another with orange binding, I'll probably take it out and measure it just to make sure, because it's not a new roll. Make sure I've got enough for the next quilt. So I match it up, put it diagonal again and crease so you can see it on there, right? And then what I'm going to do is take them up there. I'm going to find my pins. Hold on, pins. And just quickly pin it in there, okay, so it's nice and safe. And that is why you need all that room, because now you're going to sew along that diagonal, and if it was too tight towards the quilt you'd have no room to move. Okay, have you got that? Because we're going to sew along the diagonal, we need all that room to move around and not be attached to the quilt or the quilt getting in the way. So let me get this the right way. The light's not very good here, I need a new light. Let me have a light down at my son's, and he's about 250 miles away, so I can't just pop down and get it. So see, all this quilt, get his tails out the end. I could do it that way, or I could do it that way. Do it this way. So I can still see the crease, and I'm still on line. And it's more or less a cross there then. It's awkward, it's a bit awkward, but it's fine once you get the hang of it. So again, put it under there. Dot in the middle. A bit forward because I'm going to reverse it again. Make it nice and secure. I'll try and go slowly down. Okay. Get the weight off the quilt. What is it? I'm doing this more awkward. There's a better way of doing this. I don't know why I've gone at the wrong angle, I think. But anyway, it's fine. I can see the crease line. I know you won't be able to. And reverse it a few stitches. Pin with them. Okay, that's fine. So, put it flat again. And there we are, meeting up. Okay. So what I'll do then, get my scissors and cut that off. Make sure I've got just the one part at the moment. And then the other part, diagonal. So, you know, I've ended up with two little bits like that. I'm not worrying about a bit of wastage like that. So find out where I left off before. Okay. I've actually followed the fold over, you know, obviously it's manufactured a fold over. Sometimes I go in a wee bit more, an 1/8 of an inch, like, but this time I've just kept to the line to make things easy for myself. I might regret it, might be too thin on the facing side, but still I knew I had a pin there and I didn't take it out. There we go. So I'll get that there. Get that there. Right, let's reverse it a bit. Go all the way, yeah. I started off a bit crooked there. Oh dear. Never mind, it's fine. Fine. Yeah, I did. Like that, reverse to finish off. I don't know. Okay, so there's the join. Yeah, you can see that just about. Let it go over like that, you won't see it. I should trim them tails off as well, and of course it'll go under when I sew it by hand. The other side. The corners, here. The corners are like that. Pop them over, and that's the corner there, and then it there. And I'll trim a little bit off of there as well. I told you horses, I'll do it now. That's enough. So there's the front. You see that? And I'll the back will be in there, but it'll obviously be a lot tidier. The back's going to end up a bit, maybe a bit wider, but that'll be it when it's finished. So I'll iron that down first. I know people are starting to use, which I've actually bought some of them little tiny horses. I've got a little tin with mine. Lovely little tin, like the tin betting pads. But some people, you know, they aren't probably iron it, but they go around and put them on as well, which are really handy, you know, because sometimes you're fussing around when you're sewing it, trying to get it the same width, you know, because you could, you know, you could stick it up there. But you have excuse me, you have a line there where you've sewn the binding on. Mine's in just cream, because it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't show through. So you make sure you're over that line. So that's a good guide as well for hand sewing it on. So I hope that makes sense to you. Some people love the bar. I love hand sewing, so it can get a bit boring, this kind of thing, but it's part of the process, you know that. And with labels, I didn't make a label. What I've done with this quilt is sewn it on the top. Just my name, the year, and where I am. If you can't find it, you know. Just sewn it on the top there. It'd be reversed to you, suppose. Yeah. And I thought that's a great idea. I do make my little labels as well. I sew them on by hand, but I thought that's a quite good idea. So I've done that for a couple of quilts lately. So anyway, oh dear, took it out of the stand. I've got 2 quilts now to hand sew the binding, so that'll keep me quiet for a while. I'll go and sort this video out and get it online. So we'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye.